Welcome to the reorg meeting for the Borough of London 2023. Would you please stand and reflect on the
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda, the oath of office for Mayor Martha Keller, and the voting will be administered by the county clerk, Mary Ellen.
You can really bring people together. How are you? My ear look okay? Yeah. I, Marcia Caro, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States, and in this state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Mayor of Flemington Borough, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Okay, next will be the oath for Councilman Jeremy Long, introduced by State Senator Andrew Smith.
I, Jeremy Long, do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And to the governments established in the United States. And in this state. Under the authority of the people. And that I will faithfully. Impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of council for the borough of Flemington, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Okay, next will be the oath of office of Councilwoman Susan Engelhardt. You can begin from the Senator.
I state your name.
I, Susan Engelhardt,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
State of New Jersey.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
That I will bear faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And that I will faithfully,
And that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
justly
perform all the duties
all the duties
of the office of council
of the office of council
for the borough of Lebanon,
for the borough of Flemington,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know if I need it. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay, not that I think I need it, but, Administrator, can I keep that a roll call?
Ms. Engelhardt,
Here.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Long. Here. Mr. Parker,
Here.
Ms. Rosetti,
Here.
Ms. Till,
Here.
Ms. Carr.
Here. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This reorganization meeting of January 4th, 2023 was adopted by resolution 2022-235 on November 28th, 2022, and was noted in the 110 Democrat for your news of December 28th, 2022. Previous dated January 3, 2022 was noted in the list of meetings. Notice sent to the 110 Democrat for your news of January 5, 2022, which was posted on the bulletin board for a long day and continues to post as required. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available on file in the office of the borough clerk. So I'm going to just step up to the podium where I left to speak. Actually, my phone, then I have. Only because I can see you. If I'm sitting there, I can't see anybody. So first of all, I just want to publicly announce that there is a reception following tonight at the Women's Club right behind the courthouse. We'll walk right through the park and get there. Everybody's invited. I'd love to see you all to have some fellowship with myself and the council and each other. I also would like to acknowledge some of the dignitaries that are here. And please forgive me if I miss anybody, but of course, Mary Mel, your county clerk and Flemington Borough resident and your friend, County Commissioner John Van Doren, County Surrogate Susan Hoffman, State Senator from the 16th District, Andrew Zwicker, and the newly inducted Director of the Board of Commissioners, Vice President, Zach Rich. So I'm very honored to have you here both from the county and our county officers, Greg Brown, our sheriff, and I was informed sick and we sent with regards to everybody. I'd also like to acknowledge former Congressman Mike Pappas is here. I believe former Congressman Leonard Lance is here. There you are. Leonard Lance is here. Judge Joe Novak is here. And my beloved and dear friend, George Gillick, the longest serving freeholder in New Jersey state history, who held my life today. So, my family has extremely roots in this town. Last year, in 2022, we celebrated 100 years of Flemington Borough. And I know there are some counties in this group that were born here, and they're probably all under the age of 20. My good friends, some of them in the front row from Flemington Borough, born and raised here, but not continuously living here. So, but we have very deep roots in this town. My grandfather was one of the founders of the Community Center. He came to Flemington in 1922 and opened up a tailor shop with a pressing machine. And then he had a contract with his courthouse to press all of the prisoners' suits so that they were refreshed in the morning. And that included Houghton during the liquor trial. And some of those reporters, that trial was supposed to last 3 or 4 days, and some of those reporters went to my grandfather and asked him to get those suits from New York City to they had clothes to wear. My dad, who was, a teenager at the time, he went to New York. We had 4 trains out of London to Borough to New York every day to that. And what that did for tourism and economy and everything else. And Dad brought back suits and they started Caroline for 75 years on Main Street. Gave me an education and a great life and the house that I live in now. My dad served on Borough Council for 20 years, as president of Borough Council, mayor his last. And my mom was on the school board for 8 years, and she was very big involved in charities and raising money for all kinds of issues, including my mom and charities to raise for sale for my medical center. So the roots of public service are deep, and the roots of my family are deep, and becoming mayor is very personal for me, and it's a tremendous honor. And public service has been in my blood since I was born. Congressman Lance knows what it feels like to grow up with politics at the table. In fact, it's Congressman Lance's father who gave my dad castles for the Lindbergh trial in this room. And so, there's a genetic defect for both of us. Keep doing this. And when I left politics after serving in the state senate, I used to tell everybody, I love being a senator, but being a mayor was better. I loved being, when I was mayor of Reorganization Township, a lifetime ago, a generation ago, it was the best job I ever had. Because not only is it, it's an important position for the public, but it's the root of real public service. It's the we. People come to local meetings because they have concerns. They want to see things get done, something missed in their life. And it's really the go-to place. So after I left the Senate and I danced around for a little while, I decided to get back into local government as a borough business administrator, and I'm so flattered and honored to see so many people from the borough here today. Like constituents and staff, the CFO, the library director, the former chief of police, the library commissioner, the tax collector, the head of recreation. I'm so flattered that you're here, as well as so many other facets of my life. My former legislative director this year, people on like not-for-profit, 300 not-for-profit historical charities here, and it's just an honor and it's just so many borough residents here. It's very flattering, and I'm just delighted to see you all. Flemington has had its ups and downs my whole life, and I can say that because I've been here my whole life. I can go back in time with my dad being on the governing body and talking about the ebbs and flows, that businesses were closing, that the residents were complaining about the businesses, that the businesses were complaining about the residents, that you couldn't get businesses to agree to stay open on Friday nights. This is what happens in Flemington for whatever reason. For a well order, I don't know. For well order, it's the nature as ebbs and flows, and some of these dips have been worse than other dips. So this is a bit of a particularly difficult dip we've been in. And it's incumbent upon all of us, this is our county seat. Everybody in this room, unless you know this room, it's our county seat. And we need to cherish and love it and take care of it and shop here and dine here and walk here and be part of this community. The freeholders and the commissioners, they're friends to this borough. They want to help. We want to be partners with them, and the same thing with Reorganization Township. Unfortunately, they have their reorg tonight, so they can't be here. But we have a lot of issues now. There's a lot of challenges, and this is a great town. So I think everybody in this town is up for the challenges. And briefly, we have a bunch of redevelopment areas in various stages of approval, and we have the public in various stages of disapproval of that. So we need to find a relationship between both and find that balance. of the charming town that we all love and letting it move forward in a way that makes sense for the people that live here. There's tremendous dedication to this town, more than I want to talk about tonight, but I'm sure if you come to some of our meetings in the future, and our budget meetings, you'll hear about them. We have a lot of debt for a small town, and it's partially because we have a lot of infrastructure issues for a small town. We can't afford to move them forward. We can't afford to ignore them. It's going to be a challenge, and we have to find a way to do those things. Again, how to keep our sense of place and our strong sense of history and our charming architecture in this town and move it forward and let it develop in a way that makes sense for the residents that are here now and will be here in the future. And, you know, my good friend, Congressman Zimmer's wife, Martha Goodspeed, once said to me, she's a historian, and she said, you know, the definition of rural is that things are quirky and a little difficult to get around. If that doesn't describe Flemington Borough, no one does. We live in a rural community in a rural county, and it's quirky and it's difficult to get around, and everybody needs to understand that. And the more quirky we are, you know, sometimes it's better, it's more fun. And I think the most serious challenge that we have is that we've had years of disagreements, years of taking sides. It's now embedded here, and it's got to stop. The one place we all need to be committed to move forward is that we are going to stop going back in time, revisiting history, pointing fingers, and being partisan. This is a teeny tiny little town with 5,000 people in it. We are neighbors, we are friends. You know, we need to stick together and move this town together, and divisiveness and finger pointing and all that old history is done. You know, history should be remembered because we don't want to repeat bad decisions, but it shouldn't be just continuously harped on. It's time to move on and heal this town, and I am pledging to heal this town. When I was campaigning for mayor, I sent out a piece of campaign literature toward the end of the campaign, and I want to review that campaign literature. It was a contract to the public. It was a promise, and those of you who know me in elected life know I do not make promises that I don't intend to keep. I just don't do that. Promises by me are sacred, sacred pledges and contracts with whoever I make them do. And I am making this publicly on the public record to be held accountable by all of you. I trust the council will hold me accountable, and I'm asking them to consider also following this promises. I promise to treat your tax dollars as my own, to properly plan for expenditures and long-term capital purchases, to be fiscally prudent and to be accountable to you, the taxpayers. I promise that when dealing with all issues, no matter how difficult, I will work to protect only the best interests of the people of Wilmington and not to play politics. I promise to listen to you and take your concerns seriously. I will never dismiss you. I promise to be the leader of Flemington who will no longer permit our downtown to be neglected and lifeless. I promise to support the redevelopment of our town, not at any cost, but with thoughtful scrutiny and listening for the residents and taxpayers' best interest in negotiating for the residents and taxpayers' best interests. I promise to be a true advocate for the people of Flemington, and I will ask tough questions on your behalf. I promise that as your mayor, I will be transparent in government to the full extent of the law. I promise to work for the best of our town, for the people of our town. I promise to demand the best for you. I promise to always tell the truth, to always be kind, and to be completely non-partisan. This is my binding contract to you and with all of you. I want to thank the council for the last couple of weeks that we've been going through a transition period. I especially want to thank the council president, Jeremy Long. I think he's going to still be the council president. I don't know if this falls to that, but Councilman Jeremy Long, I want to thank you especially for all the efforts that we put forth to move this path forward, and to our clerk administrator, Michael Humphrey, Thank you to all of you, many of you in this room are like my family, and, you're all your friends, and I know my dad's smiling down right now, and, I just want to say thank you to all of you. You can have the page two. Time for council comment, Councilwoman Engelhardt, you have any?
Well, I just wanted to, first of all, thank, all the voters who, put me here in this case tonight. I'm really, really grateful for all your support. And I especially want to thank my husband Jason and my sons, Aaron and Noah, because, they're the reason why I'm sitting here, and I really, really appreciate that. I really don't have any report to say yet, because I don't know what my assignments are, so, I can't really say about that. As far as the reporting on what I have done in the last, 6 months, that would affect my time here on, the board. As a planning board member, I had applied for a small grant, for, EV units in town, and, we're still waiting to hear the results of that. It's just, about the 60-day period, so we should be hearing about that soon. So I'm looking forward to reporting on, that, I believe that we did receive that grant. And, that's about it.
Thank you. Councilman Johnson.
All right, thank you, man. My assignments last year were one the shade tree. I'd like to thank Mike DeLuca and Nancy Sherman for doing a wonderful job as chairman and vice chair. JT is in good hands. I had animal control. Caroline Murphy does a great job for the borough of Wilmington. The courts, it was nice working with the administrator Olivia Barrett. Wilmington House Museum and Gardens. Kelly Document does an admirable job. I enjoyed working with her. Wilmington Free Public Library. I also enjoyed working with Sean Armington. The library is in great hands. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Long.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for everybody for being here tonight. It's nice to be in this little courthouse. It's an honor to be sitting here tonight. I want to thank the voters of Flemington Borough for deciding that I'm fit to serve another term on council. January 2020, I began my first term. Little did I know that a mere 2 months later, in March of 2020, the world would decide to make things a little bit more interesting for all of us. It became especially interesting for those of us involved in local government. And I'll say this, it's an epic tale. There was a global pandemic, protests, a massive fire that displaced residents of one of our apartment complexes. Flemington even experienced its own great flood when Ida rained down upon us. These moments were part of a larger story in which every single person associated with Flemington had some sort of role in it. No matter how big or how small their actions, scared part of the plot. While all these monumental events were happening, while this epic tale unfolded, our little municipality was able to function at every single level. This was due in large part to our borough employees, the former mayor, council members, both past and present, police officers and first responders, and volunteers from all walks of life. With the help of various professionals, the previous mayor, Betsy Driver, and our volunteers from and the governing body, were able to move a major development project, Courthouse Square, forward. Multiple businesses were able to keep their doors open, while new businesses opened up shop. We were able to have a semblance of normalcy as the Flemington Community Partnership was able to coordinate fun events and activities. Neighbors reached out to one another. Some got to know each other a little better. Some were literally heroes to one another. Tonight, Flemington's epic adventure continues. Where we experience challenges, we will press forward and grow. Where we have disagreements, we will toil, labor, and fight to find consensus. I'm a realist. I know that it won't always be smooth sailing. Honestly, you can't have a story without a conflict. That's the truth. But if we keep our eyes keenly open to the necessary decisions for a successful and healthy town, no conflict can stop our efforts. We must strive for a more perfect union in the heart of Hunter. I believe this governing body, the people who work for this town, along with engaged residents, business leaders, committee members, volunteers, and even those who are waiting for their call to adventure, will work towards seeing where this story goes. I want to welcome Councilwoman Engelhardt to the governing body. Having worked with you in the past on the planning board, I'm looking forward to seeing how you make the transition to another arena of leadership in Flemington. I'd also like to welcome our new mayor, Marcia Carroll, to the storyline here. For the past few weeks, I've gotten to know you, and I look forward to seeing what your experience can bring to Flemington as a whole. Mayor Carroll and I have something in common: deep roots of Flemington soil. The best stories always include characters who come back home in some form or another. I look forward to working again with council members Johnson, Parker, Rossetti, and Tilly in order to continue to help manage Flemington and to see it grow and flourish into the town that it can be. We now turn the page to a new chapter of our story. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm kind of the outlier here because I'm not. I don't know if I'm here for a very good time. Let me just say this first of all. I am deeply humbled and honored to be voted into this seat. A seat that I did not even anticipate having. And it didn't come just from one party, it came from both parties and independent. I'm totally over from parties. And I spent the last, I didn't do a lot of mechanics purposely. Because I'm not a politician and I don't want to be a politician. I just want to be a realist, right? I want to bring change because that's who I am. I'm a change agent. So I went into the communities and I talked to a lot of people, and my standard conversation was, how long have you been here? And what do you think? That was the tag. And I got more information and more information and more information. And it depends on where you were, whether I was in the Latino and Hispanic community, or if I was on Broad Street, or if I was on Capitol, or if I was in a shopping center, or in a grocery store. My husband always says to me, you could talk to the living dead. I have never seen anybody that's talking to people. But I'm a people person, and I believe in people, and I believe in things, and I believe that things can be moved forward. I don't believe in complacency. I think that that's nonsense. I also, I've been very, very fortunate in my life that I grew up in a household where both my parents were professionals. My dad worked for Congress, he worked for CIA, he worked for FBI, he worked for major corporations. He worked for major college institutions. He retired as vice chancellor of the University of Kentucky, as a matter of fact. And my mom was an oral historian. So I grew up with a lot of influence and a lot of exposure. And I've also been lucky that I have traveled and had jobs where I have traveled around the world and through 40 to 47 states in the United States. So with that said, when I go to any place new, the first thing I do is go to the grocery store. First of all, I have a passion for cooking, but I go to the grocery store, and I go to the grocery store in two communities. I go into the affluent community and the non-affluent. Because you know why? That's where you find out about people. And that's where you find out about the culture. And that's where you find out about what the angst are. And that's where you find out about what people are proud of. And that's where you find out about that particular state. It's not just the town, it's the state. And then when you peel the onion back, it becomes the town. So moving here to Flemington, literally Flemington was not on our purview at all. If we were literally on our way to Lambertville and to Doylestown to look at two houses. And we happened to be at a red light on Church Street. And I said to my husband, we've never been down the street. We don't know that much about them. Let's just go down the street. And then we came upon our house that we own now. And I said, that's our house. Now understand it's under contract, but it all worked out, right? So it was meant to be. So I had no knowledge of Flemington. And for the first 5 years that we were here, I traveled extensively. So I was only here on probably Friday mornings through Monday or sometimes Tuesday, and sometimes I've gone for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. So I never got ingratiated into what the town was all about. And then I got the phone call. This COVID came, and then I started concentrating a little bit more in the town. And I kept hearing stories about the town, I kept hearing this. And then it dawned on me. It is so interesting that people are immersed in what happened. Everyone wants to give you the history of this person, that, and I don't want to hear it. I'm very clear on people, it's like, I don't want to hear it. Because you know why? You're getting into the weeds, and when you're in the weeds, you can't move forward. I'm here, I'm at the 10th, I love this town, but I wasn't born and raised in this town, so I have a totally different perspective. And there are a lot of people who move in this town that are just like me, who are saying the same thing. So I'm really glad to hear that it's like, we're gonna move the town forward. If you hold your hand like this, and you hold tight, nothing gets in. Nothing gets out, and nothing gets in. And that's not a good thing. Change is what we're about, right? If you have to change. So my job, my professional career, I work with the federal government. I've worked with the federal government for years. I was one of the companies that augmented the Department of Homeland Security. So I know government really well. But I also know what change is like in government. I know how long it takes things to happen. And I also know that people are afraid of changing the government because they're afraid of losing what they have. And you can't be afraid of losing. So my job is as I'm a change agent, I actually go into companies and into government agencies, and I introduce things that cause change to happen. That's what I do. So I understand the angst. I understand people being scared. I understand trying to hold on to yesterday, but you have to understand, if you look at tomorrow trying to hold on to yesterday, you never have that. And I'm telling you, I have been to small towns that have prospered, that were dirt and prospered 3 or 4 years later. I've been to cities that have been neglected, and now they have to go in and do all this investment for bit. I always ask the question when people say, "But we gotta hold on to this bill, we gotta hold on to this bill." I ask the question, if you've been here this long, how did you get to this point? I'm still trying to get the answer to that, because the point of it is, most towns will raise money to save a bill. They don't depend on council, they don't depend on tax dollars. They will go to corporations, they will go to whatever. And they actually have issue. There's a town that's doing that right now. And they have buildings that they want to save. And they go out, they do fundraisers. They do galas, they do whatever it takes, they go to corporations and ask for money. So the point of it is, if you are truly value what you have, you've got to think outside of the box. You cannot wait for things to happen. You must make things happen. So, going back to being elected, one of the things people said to me, you can make things happen. That's why we're going to vote for you, because we believe that you're what we need to get the town out of its own way. Whether that's true or not, that's neither here nor there. The point of it is my charter is to open it up. My charter is not to run away from change, but run towards change. My charter is not to run away from conflict, but run towards conflict. Because that's the only way things happen. That's the only way it's happening. Now, I can't do that, and all of these 7 people cannot do that by ourselves. This is about community. And the community has got to be involved. And you can't say that I have this to do and I have that. Well, you know what? So do I. So do I. If I can get on a plane and take this, this, and this, my expectation is everyone else. And so as I was talking to people in the community, I said, listen, let me study this. Really happy for your vote, et cetera, but I'm going to hold you accountable because I need you to work with us. And I also need this town to be more inclusive as opposed to exclusive. Because when you go and talk to other parts of this town, what I found totally disturbing is that they don't feel part of the town. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, you've been here for 20 years, what do you mean you don't feel part of that? No, you don't feel part of the town. So I hear, I don't feel part of the town, I'm disengaged with the town, and I'm fighting change. That's the crossroads here. And I don't know if you guys realize that, but I see it and I heard it. And when new people come in, that's the first thing they say. That's the first thing they say. I said it. 3 other people who moved into the house said the same thing. And so we as a community, we run that. I don't care if you're Democratic, Republican, Independent, a rat, a snake, whatever, I don't care. But that does not matter to me. I don't care about, I'm one of these people, I don't care about race. I don't care about creed. I don't care about religion. I don't care that I judge people on the content of their character. That's it. That's it. And that's why we have a ton of friends. We have a ton of friends because we do this. We don't do this. We do this. I have a husband that is, because I wasn't sure that I was going to do this. I have a husband who said to me, think about your father. Anytime this has happened, he will tell you this is a call to action. You must step up to the plate. I have a nephew who just won election in Kentucky as state representative just this year. And he said, oh, Tony, you can't even second guess this, you have to do it. It's like, okay, well, you tell me I have to do it, then I do it. And so once I started opening my head to this, I understood what this was all about. So I'm just going to say this, my charter is to embrace change. My charter is to get people involved. My charter is to get the town to the next level. My charter is to get people engaged. My charter is to make this inclusive and not exclusive. My charter is to talk. That's my charter. I thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate the support. And God bless you.
Councilwoman Mazzetti?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to keep this concise, but I just want to express my congratulations to everyone who has taken their oaths this evening. I look forward to working with all of you. I would like to echo the sentiment that I am looking forward to the future. I think I agree completely. We all need to put differences aside and keep our eye on the prize, and that is developing Flemington to its fullest potential for our entire community. Thank you so much.
That's a tough act to follow, Tony, but I'm gonna do my best. And
No, stop.
I'm just really,
No, yeah, stop.
I'm just here to thank. I'm gonna use my time to welcome Mayor Caro. I'm looking forward to working under your leadership and keeping Flemington moving in the direction that council has in our hindsight. So, and congratulations to Jeremy. And to Susan, I look forward to Susan being on council and hearing her opinions on things. I didn't have the pleasure to work with you on planning board, but I'm looking forward to it here on council. I do want to thank the guys from the DPW. I worked with them for the last 2 years. I do hope that I have the opportunity to continue in my 3rd year of my term. I do have one thing though, is that if anybody has their real Christmas trees, you can put them out on the curb. Please no garland, tinsel, wire, ornaments. We know the drill. If there's any kind of accessories on the tree, they will not be picked up, but you can put them on the curb and the guys will be driving by anytime. I do want to thank the gentleman in the fire department. It's been my pleasure to work with you guys and get choked up here. I do hope that I get to continue in that capacity as well. Brian McNally and OEM and CERT. It's been my pleasure to work with you guys as well. And HPC, this is where my big goal is that to become certified local government this year. So that's going to be the big push with HPC. And that's it for me. Thank you. Thank everybody for coming out.
The meeting to public comments, please keep the comments to 3 minutes if possible. Okay, seeing none, moving on. Can I have a, council election, can I have a motion for, president of Borough Council?
I nominate Jeremy Long.
Is there a second?
I second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
Congratulations, Council President. So glad, thank you for not changing the, so used to calling me council president, I don't know what I would do. Is there a nomination for vice president?
I would like to nominate Tim Tilley, Vice President.
Is there a second?
I second.
Rosetti will second.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
Nomination for fact and planning board member of the council.
I would like to nominate Susan Engelhardt.
Is there a second?
Tilly will second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
Congratulations. So regarding the assignments in 2023, and the clerk administrator will be sending these out to all the council members tonight or tomorrow. The mayor, I'm doing administration, liaison to the environmental commission, finance, and the DPW. Councilwoman Engelhardt, animal control, parks, rec, and fireworks, and schools. Councilman Johnston, ports, DPW, plumbing house, and library. Council President Long, finance, police, and redevelopment. Councilman Parker, beautification, public information, and communications. Councilwoman Rosetti, codes and zoning, parks, rec, fireworks, school, and shade tree. And Councilwoman Tilly, because you cried, I have to see it's all back there. HPC, OEM, fire rescue, fires, utilities, and because she makes her own work, she asked me to add a category called Halloween. Because she actually gets donation for our very busy streets in town at Halloween. We donate candy to people so they don't have to spend hundreds of dollars in their own money. So thank you for doing all that. Thank you all of you for all of your volunteers and your service. Regarding mayor's appointments, to the planning board, class 4, Karen Giffen with a term expiring 2026, Jim Hill with a term expiring 2026. Alternate number 1, Brian Sanino with a term expiring 2024. Alternate number 3, James Weintraub with a term expiring 2024. Historic Preservation Committee, Commission. Richard Giffen, term expiring 2026, that's the Class A. Class C, Emily Hammer, term expiring 2026. Environmental Commission, member, Chris Runyon, term expiring 2025. John Carney, term expiring 2025. Alternate number 1, Melissa Swingle with the term expiring 2023. And because our ordinance gives the honor of naming chair to the mayor, Chris Runyon is being named as chair to the Environmental Commission. Shade Tree Commission, member John Warren, term expiring 2026, and Matt Henley, term expiring 2027. In my review of the commissions and committees and their expiring terms, the administrator and I noted that the library commission continues to be rolled over with our fabulous library members, but there have been no formal legal appointments, so I am reaffirming all of them tonight. Back into their terms. Stephen Rogo, term expiring 2023, Jay DeHaven, term expiring 2024, James Rossetti, term expiring 2024, Elizabeth Fisher, term expiring 2025, Grace Chang, Guadi, term expiring 2026, and I apologize if I did not pronounce that correctly, and Warren Buckleitner, term expiring 2027. Okay, so We're now into the agenda, resolution 2023-1, approve the use of consent agenda in 2023. Can I have a motion?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Tilly, second.
Okay, you have to speak up. I don't think I can hear you. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda that will take the rest of the agenda together and go back to, the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to pull item number 2023-3, just for some discussion.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion? Oh, and I also just want to know, resolution 2023-2, Open Public Meetings Act notice of 2023, has a typo in it. Our meetings are going to start at 7 p.m., not 7:30. We start the work session at 7. They're being moved to the back of the agenda in case we have one, and we'll be starting the meeting at 7. It's just a typo, as I said. Can I have a motion to approve the entire consent agenda except for 2023-3?
Long move.
Tilly, second.
Roll call vote?
Ms. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes.
Thank you. Regarding 2023-3, Councilwoman?
Sure, thank you. Sorry. Sorry, I need to pull that up. So I can reference it. I got it. Thank you, though. Sorry, I don't know how the order thing, so maybe not as quick as, here it is. Thank you. I got it. So in regards to 2023-3, in the days agenda, the public comments have a parentheses after it that says up to 3 minutes each. And, you know, being on the planning board, we've had a lot of long meetings, which is normal for a planning board, but we're used to having to have, there's good and bad things about that. So what I wanted to clarify on this agenda, let me just see where it is. It's in item number 7, public comment section 1, and item number 11, public comment section 2. I'm sorry. I was hoping to bring that up to 4 or 5 minutes. I think that 3 minutes is really tight, but I also think that, like I said, from experience, it is definitely helpful to have some sort of balance there, especially because, and this is no offense to the public, but this is a meeting to do the municipals work, and that's what we're here to do. So I want to make sure that stay consistent, but still give people a little bit longer time to speak. So I was hoping that could consider to add to this item.
Does anybody else have any comments regarding this matter? So I don't have a problem changing it, and I don't have a problem leaving it because, you know, unless somebody is going on, repeating themselves, I'm inclined to just let people talk out for 4 or 5 minutes, because I think most people, I agree with you, most people can wrap things up pretty fast. And sometimes 3 isn't enough. And certainly if we get into a discussion with anybody, who comes asking questions rather than comments, that should not be held against them with their minutes. So, we can change it tonight, or we can see how it goes.
I'm not sure that 5 minutes is gonna work, like I got. So I say, let's see how it goes. That's my.
Well, what's the, I guess I'm curious to know for everybody's edification, what's the good span of time, to see how it goes? I think this is you know, what do you guys think?
I think that for me, I would say take it through the budget, and the budget's approved, then you want to revisit it then. And revisit it then.
Well, I'd like to know how long we have set aside for public comments. Because if we're gonna limit that to 30 minutes, I'd rather have each person speak for 3 minutes and get more people up at the mic rather than a 5-minute.
Well, if it's a time frame, if a lot of people come, I think for the budget or something else, we can certainly adhere to the rule. And if we only have a couple people in who want to talk about road repaving or something like that, then we could.
Just as long as we're flexible. You know, with the way that it's done.
Okay. Is everybody okay to do this for a couple months? The budget?
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, on to, appointment of professionals, resolution.
We need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, great, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve, resolution 2023-3?
Tilly, I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Singlehart,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Zeddy,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. All right, resolution 2023-27, adopt appointment of Sarah Shaw for the Warner Gillespie Broad Day and as Wilmington Borough Attorney 2023. Can I have a motion, please?
Tilly, I'll second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Singlehart,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Zeddy,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Resolution 2023-28, appointment of Gebhardt as consultant attorney for January 2023. Can I have a motion, please?
Johnson.
There's a second.
Engelhardt will second.
Thank you. Can I have the roll call, please?
Ms. Singlehart,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Zeddy,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-29, appointment of Reverend Verdict Engineers as the Fleming Sewer Engineer for 2023. Can I have a motion, please?
We're having, I'm not sure how it works, so.
A motion to open the discussion.
Tilly, look.
Discussion?
That means, yeah, you can do it. In this, on this item, and I'm not sure who knows and who doesn't, I'm a architect, so I work in the construction industry and deal with engineers and architects often, and I spent a lot of time last week, looking at all of the RFPs, and later on in our agenda, we are, appointing a temporary 1-month municipal engineer, if it passes, obviously. I think it might be prudent for us to because both the sewer engineers RFPs and the municipal engineers RFPs, with the exception, I think, of one company, were actually identical, the same people applied to both. I think it might be a good idea to try to coordinate and make sure that we have 2 consultants that we all feel we work together well. We might be able to find some fiscal kind of overlap there that we can talk about and make sure that their scope of works are clear. There was another contract that we didn't go out to bid for, related to special services. And I have a feeling that that third contract may overlap with some of these scopes of work. So I would like to suggest or move to create an ad hoc committee to review the municipal engineer, the sewer engineer, and any other necessary contracts that we need to review. I am definitely not opposed to this consultant by any means. I'm actually not as familiar with them as the current sewer engineer, but I'm not opposed to them. I just think that it might be prudent for us to look at both these 2 contracts as well as perhaps the one that's we're holding right now simultaneously. It might be a little more efficient.
So, the sewer engineer, the consultant position that currently says it's for 30 days is actually still being defined. And it will be coming back to you all, for more discussion, probably on Monday, on the ninth, or next weekend. I would like to move forward with these appointments the way they are, and then have that conversation later. When we do the municipal engineer as well, hoping to put that up on Monday night as well. You know, it's really the consultant engineer person, that's named in that resolution, Gary Harris, has been in town a long time, and has a lot of knowledge of being part, as we move forward in town, but Remington Burnham has a lot of specialties, in sewer, getting grants, monies, funding, design, development, and specifically, with administrative court orders, which this town is now under, for our weather facility. So, because of that expertise and their ability to find this money and work with the EPA and DEP, I am, you know, confident that they are the right firm, to move us forward now and work with Jerry and, you know, I don't know if there's any other discussion.
Well, I think there's merit to what Susan has said. I do think there's merit to that. And I think there needs to be some time for us to review it. Who these people are, because I don't know what they are. That's everybody else. So I think I do understand what you're saying, you know, that's before. No. We're not just running over it. So I think it should say that.
Well, I have a motion on the table, so, unless somebody wants to rescind their motion. And
I'm sorry, can I get a clarification? I think you just said, there's is it included in this resolution that Jerry's firm is extended for 30 days?
I believe that.
It's a different resolution.
The different
The
resolution.
I'm sorry,
No, it's okay, 2023-37.
Okay, extended for surgery, right?
no, that says municipal engineer, that's why I'm confused. Again,
He's been serving as the municipal engineer and the sewer engineer. So we just incorporated that title and not all of the titles he's been working.
so resolution 37 should really say sewer and municipal engineer. Extend for 30 days now.
We can do that.
Maybe I misunderstood what Marcia said. I thought Marcia said that the 30 days.
My goal between now and the next January is to define Jerry's role. And not have him only be on board for 30 days as a consultant, but be able to work with Remington Burnham and our sewer department, for the whole year. That's my goal. So, you know, with the specialty.
Yeah, that's my concern is that I know that sewer is a specialty. I'm not familiar with, I don't know Jerry, and I'm not familiar with how experienced he is as a pure municipal engineer. So I'm concerned with who is CME going to assign us, because frankly, it's a lot like an attorney. When we're placing an attorney, it's like, who will be getting is more important than the company.
Very specific that it's Jerry, for the sewer, and very specific that it will be referring project manager.
Right, but if we pass this resolution, then
I will be in the contract. I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry, if we pass this current resolution that's on the floor right now, 29, then Jerry would definitely not be assigned sewer for the year, correct?
No. It's whoever we put in the contract. So it's.
But it says Remington Burnham, and Jerry doesn't work for Remington.
No. Remington Burnham is a totally different firm.
Right,
I'm nominating Remington Burnham to be our sewer engineer. Jerry Harris of CNE to be a consultant regarding certain issues to Remington Burnham Borough.
so isn't that like paying two engineers to do the same thing?
No, it should not be, and it's really about making sure we have, you know, Jerry did this a long time. Yeah. You know, I hate to even say this in public, but in Middlesex Borough, we lost our sewer operator who passed away, and nobody knew what he was doing. There was nobody else who had any knowledge of what he was doing, all except for Remington Burnham, our engineer. So, I mean, God forbid, Jerry retired tomorrow. So I think it's incumbent on us, and Remington Burnham, as I said, we have an issue court order now to get our letter facility in its full, and they know how to find money and write grants and.
And I think that's one of my concerns, because Jerry could retire tomorrow. Then we are looking at which, we're also then looking at, okay, from CIE is on here, from Remington is on here, we do lose that. I think like I said, in the industry, I've written a lot of RFPs, I've hired a lot of engineers, and I really think it might be best for us to look at this all together, especially because we've got this third contract that's a little unclear as to whether we have to extend it or. It's up to my, I turn to my council members. Sorry.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table. I'm gonna call for a roll call vote in detail, then we'll move on to something else. So can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Engelhardt,
No, yeah, I didn't,
no comment, no comment.
Okay, no,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker. No. Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. We will talk about this some more. I promise.
Great, I forgot about that.
So, resolution 23-30, appointment of Matt Hall of M2 Systems to provide funding to Borough Hydrological Services 2023. Tilly,
Oh, a second.
roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-31, appointment of James Kyle of Kyle McManus Associates as Flemington Borough Planner 2023.
Julia,
Oh, a second.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-32, appointment of Buck Walrat LLP as Flemington Borough Redevelopment Attorney 2023. Have a motion, please?
Johnson.
Oh, a second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
no,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-33, appointment of Buck Walrat LLP as Flemington Borough Bond Attorney 2023. Have a motion, please?
Johnson.
Julia, second,
Roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-34, appointment of Dawn with C LLC as Flemington Borough Labor Attorney 2023.
On the move.
Julia, second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-35, appointment of Subliquity and Company as Flemington Borough Auditor 2023.
Julia,
On the second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Yeah, resolution 2023-36, appointment of Michael O'Brien of Savage Dog et al. As prosecutor and company of Lesky, Eisenhut, and Zelinski LLP as alternate prosecutor 2023. Have a motion.
Johnson.
Julia, second,
Roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Tilly.
Yes. Thank you. Resolution 2023-37, appointment of CNE Associates Municipal Engineer for January 2023. Have a motion, please.
Julia,
Roll call, please.
Ms. Engelhardt,
yes,
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Rosetti,
Yes.
Ms. Jill.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll continue this discussion about engineers on Monday the ninth at our next meeting. Meanwhile, we're to our second public comment session. If anybody, has any comments they want to make, or dance in the aisles. Public comment? No? Okay, seeing none, now I have a motion and hopefully we'll return them to the Women's Club for some refreshments. There's a lot of food over there, folks, so I don't feel confident. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Sounds good.
All in favor? Yeah, yes, yeah.
Aye.
Councilwoman Billy. Liz, thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year's. Thank you.